is going on? What is the goal of these crazy people that are saying crazy things, that are putting us in groups, and if you're a white heterosexual male, you're just guilty, no matter what you did or who you are. That's what's going on. We're being placed into groups, and we're not being seen as individuals. Another major issue is truth. It's a denial of absolute truth. And of course, Jesus is the truth, and there is an absolute truth. So we're dealing with denial of absolute truth, and it's also a rejection of objectivism. In other words, certain things are obvious. Okay, it's my objective opinion that I'm sitting behind a desk in the Selden Center right now, and that's being rejected for subjectivism. I'm saying it right. It's how you perceive me. Maybe you perceive me standing up, Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. Perhaps you can perceive me standing up, flying in the spirit, and that's your reality. So the mindset that's invading the country today, it's invading the world, it's invading the country, it's invading the church. It's a mindset that has nothing to do with reality. And in my opinion, it's nothing less than evil. Okay, where did all this come from, and what is the goal, and who are these crazy people? Okay, the goal, brethren, is the goal of world communism, and that is a utopia, a utopian society where nobody has to work, but all of their needs are met, where there is no trouble in the world because everybody has their needs met. So it's a complete denial of the fallen nature of man. Where is all of this coming from? The gentleman that's in the first video that we'll see gives us a historical background. Basically, it started close to 100 years ago in Germany, in Frankfurt, Germany. The people were thrown out of Germany, so they went to Columbia University. So the problems in this country are arising originally arose out of Columbia and then Yale University. That's my understanding. So what does that mean? It means that there's an elite group. Brethren, if you are a college professor, you are in an elite group. That is a dream, to live a life where you can earn your living based on what you love doing. I am an elite. I am a spiritual elite. The Lord has provided an income for me while I do what I love to do. That is a privileged position, okay? So there are a group of elites that also include people with a lot of money, usually, okay, which I don't have. But that's not the issue. I'm talking about the group that this mentality is coming from. They're usually well off, okay? They teach, but beyond teaching, they have their own investments. They're financially comfortable. They're comfortable in this world, okay? They're educated, and they belong to this elite group of intellectuals. They're intellectuals, brethren. And they have decided that they want to make the world into a utopia for the poor. And you'll hear this gentleman say, whose name I don't recall at the moment, I'm sorry, that they want to change things for the poor, even though the poor may not want them changed. Okay. So that's the goal, a world utopia where nobody has to work and nobody has any problems and everyone's needs are met. The problem is that this has been tried before and it's never worked. It didn't work in Russia, it didn't work in Eastern Europe, it's not working in China. What is the problem? The problem is human nature, fallen human nature. And there always rises up a ruling class. So you have the ruling class even in the communist nations and the people. And the ruling class are well off and the people are poor. That's traditionally what has happened where it's been tried in the world. So what I would like to do is just read you a couple of the notes that I did take to give you a head start. And then again, please don't be discouraged if you can't follow him in every word that he says. By the time we get to the 4th video, you'll be an expert. Okay? Got it. Hold on. I have to put my microphone in. These are the notes that I took directly from the gentleman who will be speaking first. The elite group that's behind what's going on today, they're called the woke, W-O-K-E. You might have heard that expression, though they've woken up, but they woke up, the group that are woke up. And one of the videos, if we survive to the 4th one, is addressed by a minister to the woke church, okay? And where this started, okay, it started with a group in Frankfurt, Germany, saying, or wondering why, or trying to find out why Marx failed. Marx, the author of communism. Okay. They don't say why he failed. They say why was he wrong? But I say, why did he fail? Because he failed. Okay. Marx believed that the struggle was between the rich and the poor, and that the rich oppressed the poor, and that the rich had to be overthrown so that the poor could lead a decent life. But he failed. Okay? Communism has failed wherever it's been tried. So there emerged out of that the school of critical theory called the Frankfurt School, or the Institute for Social Research. And they changed the theory from the rich guy over the poor guy, and they said that the problem is all through the culture. In other words, even the poor people are in agreement with the rich people that this is the way it should be, that culture is the way it should be, society is the way it should be. In other words, a hierarchical society. Someone at the top, a leader, okay, a government or pastor. The church is a hierarchical system. And of course, if you've been looking around at the culture for the last years, you may have discerned that the principles that are invading our education system, well, I don't know about the church, the education system, that everybody's equal. There's no, they're trying to stop all competition. Everybody gets an award, okay? Everybody's equal. And this I'm saying from another video that I saw, not from this gentleman. Their goal is outcome. Okay, you don't have to achieve. Okay, they want everyone to have an equal outcome. No matter how you score in school or how talented you are, everyone gets the award. That is a culture they're trying to bring into existence, a culture where everyone has an equal outcome. No matter how hard you work, you don't work, you do work, you get the same income, you get the same house, you get the same quality of living. It's total fantasy, you know. So we have from generation to generation elites that are trying to bring a utopia into existence. But you'll hear that what's really behind it is a lust for power. So it's not true. They're saying, maybe they convince themselves that they're trying to bring a utopia into existence, but they're really lusting for power themselves. They're lusting for the power to change the existing society. Okay, so I really should have put this on when I started. Hold on. So we're looking at my notes. Okay, so these new, if you want to call them, they don't call themselves Marxist, but these new Marxists, or this new type of communist, okay, that started in the school of critical theory, they came to the conclusion that it's not enough to overcome the guys at the top, okay, because the problem is systemic. It's in the rich, it's in the poor, it's in every individual. So the only way to overcome, they want a utopia, so they have to overcome the existing society, is to change the culture. Because it's in everybody. Okay? Even the people that they want to help we don't understand that we need to be helped. See? So the problem is in the culture. So they have to change the culture, and that's what we've been experiencing. They've changed our schools. They've used techniques, mind control techniques, to change the ideas of society, and they've used words, okay? And the one word that's sticking in my brain right now, because when I found myself starting to use a change of the way of expressing yourself. One that I resisted, and another that I saw that I received, but I'm going to not use it anymore. Yeah. They won't tell you that something's wrong, that somebody has a broken leg, or that somebody's crippled. They're challenged. It's called political correctness. Okay. So I'm resisting that word challenge, which I found myself starting to use. Another word which I used once or twice, and I will absolutely resist, is instead of saying that somebody died, to say that they passed. They died. Death is a reality. They died. Don't tell me they passed. You don't know that they passed. And not only that, but the teaching of the scripture, of the esoteric understanding of the scripture, is that no, they don't pass. Your personal soul dies. Your body dies. Your personal soul dies. Okay? They didn't pass. They died. Start using the right words. Don't go along with this, because they're changing you. If you use this change of way of expressing yourself, the way it affected me, as I analyzed it, the way it affected me was that it's a cool way of expressing yourself. That's what the in crowd is saying these days. It may not register in your mind that way, but everybody wants to be cool, right? It's the jargon of the day. And they've been changing our society subtly, a little bit at a time, moving us from absolute truth, for example, what is right and wrong, to subjective truth, to the point that the group that exists today, the woke movement, are totally out of touch with reality. Yeah. So I really want you to watch the videos. I didn't mean to really be preaching this much, but here we go. So we're talking about changing the culture. It's not enough to bring down they call it the hegemony. I think that's right. The ruling group. You can't even, or they might call it the ruling class. See, did you ever wonder why women are called minorities? You know, women are not a minority. Women are, I think, 52% of the population. How could we be a minority? It's a philosophical ideology that has no basis in reality. I believe the word is hegemony. The ruling class. The smallest amount of people are at the top and they rule. But they're the majority. Why? Because they have the power. And everyone else is a minority. So they want to bring down the existing power structure. And brethren, that includes Christianity. Okay. So the culture has to be subverted. They have to go in and change society, faith, family, not just the economic structure. And the problem that I have with this is that they're doing it subtly, clandestinely, and to me that is evil. They're going back. They're manipulating the people to bring in a utopia that they tell themselves, or they will tell you, is good for you. Don't tell me what's good for me. And if you think about it, that mentality is throughout the culture right now. This concept of saying corporations or even people make too much money. Corporations need to do this for the people. Corporations need to do that for the people. What right does any philosopher or group of philosophers or sociologists or psychologists have to say to any of us as to how we should spend our money, or how we should raise our children, or what we should do? Should we wear a mask? Should we not wear a mask? This mask issue, it's this evil spirit that really wants to, it's really desiring power, wants to control every aspect of life, is convinced that it's doing it for our good. And it's nothing less than evil. And it has targeted culture. that has targeted our society. It's been going on for years already. Okay, it says the consciousness of you and me need to be raised to show that we need to be convinced, if we don't already know it, that there are powerful entities in society who are creating conditions that are systemic. We all hate black people. Okay? We all hate people of color. We may not know it, but we have to hate people of color because hatred of people of color exists. And when a situation arises, any simple situation, the example given, you're a storekeeper and two people walk into your shop, one black and one white, okay? And you choose to serve the white person first, you're a racist. Okay? If you choose to serve the black person first, you're still a racist because you're trying to not be a racist by choosing the black person first. You can't win. They have declared a certain group of people evil, and they will not stop until they destroy them. Destroy them, destroy their businesses, destroy them financially, destroy any influence whatsoever that they have on society. And that's what we're up against. And they say it's systemic. What does that mean? It's in every individual human being, whether you know it's there or not. And they treat you, if you're a member of the hated class, all classes, all nationalities, all colors are acceptable except white heterosexual males. And I think if you're a white woman, it doesn't help, but if there's a word for it, you're factored in, okay? I'm white, but I'm a woman, so I have a slice of me is in the right place, so to speak. Fractionalization, I can't think of the word they're using. This is what we're up against. You can't, when they're out to destroy the hierarchy. Now, a couple of generations ago, or a generation ago, they destroyed the patriarchy. These forces, it's an evil force that's operating through people, succeeded in destroying the patriarchy. The country is now basically a matriarchy. Even though we have men in the highest offices, okay, the spirit over the nation, I'm not sure about the world, probably the whole world, it's a female spirit that's over the whole world. And it's the female spirit that took over the Holy Zygote when the Holy Zygote was overtaken by Rahab, the power of the soul, okay? Because the male aspect of the Holy Zygote chose to empower himself with the power of the soul rather than with the power of the Father, the one that created him. He thought he could control the power of the soul, and the power of the soul overtook him. And there's nothing new under the sun. That's what's going on today. It may not be said that way, but it's the power of the soul that will not rest until one of two things happens. It either wipes out every vestige of the reality of God in the earth, or the reality of God, which is Jesus Christ, destroys it. Those are the only two potential outcomes, brethren. Okay. And for the power of God to destroy it, the power of God works through people. It's not dropping out of the sky. It works through people. So the priests of Judah have to stand up. Okay. So consciousness has to be raised to show that there are powerful beings in society who are creating conditions, systemic, that means at your root, or structural conditions, already existing conditions, under which other people are oppressed. So the oppressed have to be told that they are being fed culture by the elites, and that they are accepting that and internalizing their own impression, their own oppression, as natural, right, or the proper order of things. Now, it was actually Doreen and a couple of people in her group that said to me, Sheila, how do you preach the patriarchy? I preach the patriarchy because God, the kingdom of God is patriarchy. I it was said to me, Sheila, Doreen said to me, Sheila, how can you preach the patriarchy? You're a woman. Because my master, well, Jesus is male. Why am I hesitating? Because he really doesn't have any sex. He's higher than sex. He's the name of God. And because everything is female in relation to God. That means the patriarchy is a reality and God is at the top of the patriarchy. And whoever he chooses to reveal himself through is an expression of the patriarchy. So to God, I'm his servant, his slave, his wife, whatever you want to call me, but to you all, I'm male. If you can get past my body, but you should be able to get past my body because we're in a multicultural world. We're in isn't that what's going on today? That you choose your own gender? But of course it probably wouldn't be applied to me because I'm preaching Christ. That was just a sarcastic remark. I preach the patriarchy because that's the reality. God, the man, the woman, and the children. That's the order. God, Adam the man, humanity the woman. That's the order. And that's the order that exists inside of our bodies, inside of our mind. That's the hierarchy inside each individual if you want to prosper in this world. God, Adam, your higher soul, your personal soul. This is the most incredible Antichrist spirit that it's almost unbelievable. It is so unbelievable that it's happening, that there are a lot of people, a lot of citizens that can't believe that it's happening. They're still saying it can't happen in this country, but it's happening. They need to have their consciousness raised to the truth. So the oppressed have to be told that they are being fed a culture by the elites and that they are accepting that. What the elites tell us is the right way, like the patriarchy. And they're internalizing their own oppression as natural right or the proper order of things. Sometimes what I just described to you is called cultural Marxism, because Marxism in its primitive state is military, is militaristic. They want a physical hot rebellion between they want the oppressed to rise up and kill the elites and overtake them. This is called cultural Marxism. It's happening with a subtle serpentine manner, okay? And it is a spirit of murder, except that nobody knows they're being murdered. It's like the frog being in the water. It gets hotter and hotter. We're being boiled to death, and most people don't even know it. Although many are waking up today. So then at another point, now this is still the history of how we got to the woke generation. Thought, the next step was that thought separated into two types of theory: traditional thought and critical thought. So now we're getting to the critical race theory. Traditional thought is still within the realm of reality, and it still acknowledges that there is truth, that there is such a thing as truth, that this is a desk. It is a desk, okay? And that 2 and 2 equals 4. And in case you don't know it, what they're teaching our children today is that 2 and 2 do not have to equal 4, that it could equal 5. There's no absolute truth. 2 and 2 could equal 5. Can equal 5. It's insane. Okay. So we now have two types of theory, traditional and critical. And the goal now is to not change society by military overthrow, but to understand society so that it could be changed. So there's been a deep psychological introspection, scripturally, and I hope that you receive at least some modicum of education, which I'm sure you will. We really need to know what's going on in the world today because it's very serious and they've spread very far. There's large, in one of the videos, if we get to it, I think one of them is a little upsetting. 3 of them are educational. One of them is by a gentleman who is telling you how far it's penetrated and how much damage has been done. So you have to face up to that also. And he says the church is absolutely compromised. The Lord told me he has 7,000, so he has small groups of people and unattached pastors that haven't been corrupted. But I think all of the denominations are corrupted. In case you don't know it, the Southern Baptist, which has been the foundation of Bible teaching as long as I've been alive. The man who was the spokesperson at the top of the Southern Baptist Convention has just declared that he's a racist. So he's buying into this doctrine fully. So they're fully compromised because that's not what God says. Okay, everybody. I hope that you enjoy the videos. God bless you.